Okay, what's up, everybody? Let me clear some things. So cool. My name is Michael Music. Thank you for tuning in. Now we're going to continue on this conversation of applying the definite major purpose. Okay, so I gave some action steps last video. Now, what I'm going to spend this video on is just going through some of the sections that he continued this talk himself. And for those of you who may not be familiar with this book, this is actually not written by Napoleon Hill. This was a book that was a translation of all of Napoleon's actual real life lectures, and you can find it on YouTube as well in Napoleon Hill's words. So, my goal isn't to necessarily just read it out loud and make this like an audible, because honestly, it's probably better to hear it in Napoleon's words himself. But my purpose is to just kind of really dive deep into some of the things that he said and reiterate them for myself, because I do these lives not only for you guys but for me as well, to really honestly figure out what is this philosophy saying, and ideally become extremely successful myself from it. So I'm going to be reading something called Your Greatest Purpose in Life. Okay, I'm going to read that, go through that section, and then to wrap this up, I'm probably not going to. I'm going to read just the sections of this book, because he goes into a lot of stories. But anyways, let me read this, and I'll continue the conversation from there. So he calls this Your Greatest Purpose in Life, right? And remember, we're talking about applying your definite major purpose. Okay, he says, here are some important factors in connection with your definite major purpose. First of all, it should represent your greatest purpose in life, the one single purpose which, above all others, you desire to achieve, and the fruits of which you are willing to leave behind you as a monument to yourself. Okay, so when we're talking about definite major purpose, right? What are you willing to really commit your life to, right? Let's say, at some point we're all going to pass away. At some point we're going to leave this planet, right? What are you willing to leave behind as your legacy when you do, leave this world and go to whatever's next out there, right? So what are you willing to leave behind, right? What are you going to dedicate, honestly, your life to? He says that's what your definite major purpose should be. I'm not talking about your minor purposes. I'm talking about your major overall purpose, your lifelong purpose. Believe me, friends, if you don't have an overall lifelong purpose, you're just wasting the better portion of your life. The wear and tear of living is not worth the price you pay for it, unless you really are aiming for something, unless you're going somewhere in life, unless you're doing something with this opportunity here on this plane. All right, what's he talking about? Right? Truthfully, everyday living, all the problems that you face, they're not worth it unless you truly do have an idea of getting past this, right? There's something better out there for you, right? It's not worth just going through day in and day out your daily habits when that's like your reason for living, when it's just to repeat the same day over and over again, right? There's got to be a different purpose pulling you, so that the daily problems that you encounter, that you can actually look past that they don't really get in the way, because that you have a definite major purpose in place, and these minor problems are not going to stop you, or not even going to bother you on your way too. Now, Napoleon Hill, he goes on to say that I imagine you were sent over here to do something. I imagine you were sent over here with a mind capable of hewing out and attaining your own destiny. If you don't attain that, if you don't use that mind, I imagine that your life, to a large extent, will have been wasted from the viewpoint of the one who sent you over. Wow, that hurts. Okay, right? What is he saying? that if you don't truly figure out how to use your mind to get what you want, right? At the end of the day, why am I even sharing this message with you? Because it's not about what I want for you, right? It's about what do you want for yourself, and are you willing to really elevate your thinking so that you can get what it is that you want. Now he's saying to take possession of your mind and aim high, right? Don't believe that you can't achieve in the future because you have not achieved much in the past. Don't measure your future by your past. A new day is coming. You're going to be born again. You're setting up a new pattern. You're in a new world. You are a new person. If not, why not? If you don't get that idea, if you don't use it, then you won't get anything out of this course. I intend that every one of you shall be born again mentally, physically, and maybe spiritually with a new aim, a new purpose, a new realization of your own individual self and your own dignity as a unit of mankind. Okay, so what's he talking about in there? Couple things he brought up, right? At the end of the day, no one has ever seen our mind, but we each have one of the greatest gifts on this world, and that is the ability to think for ourselves. And he's calling it the greatest sin is those that don't actually cultivate their mind so that they can use it for a meaningful purpose, for actually getting what they want. So, he says a lot of other things, but at the end of the day, right? What's gonna make living day in and day out worth it for you, right? Is just going through the motions, going through your job, really worth living, or is there something bigger out there that you truly want? You may not know how, but you truly know that you want it. That is going to be making it. That's going to make everything worth it in the end. Now, he goes on to say that if you ask me what I believe to be the greatest sin of mankind, he says, you might be surprised at my answer. What would yours be? What do you think the greatest sin of mankind is? Okay, so he says that the greatest sin of mankind is to neglect to use his greatest asset, because if you'll use that greatest asset, you'll have everything you want and you'll have it in abundance. I didn't say you'll have everything within reason. I said you'd have everything you want and have it in abundance. I didn't put qualifying words in there. You're the only one that can put qualifying words in there as what you want. You're the only one that can set up limitations for yourself. Nobody else can do it for you unless you let them. Okay? All right. So, pretty simple so far. At the end of the day, what really stuck out to me is that, we're not just talking about a big goal that you want. Yeah, I want to start a music festival, et cetera, right? Something like a crazy idea. No, we're talking about what is my reason for actually being here? What is the reason? What is the legacy that I want to leave behind when I do grow up and it's my time to leave this earth plane, right? What is my reason for being here? What is my true purpose? That's what he's talking about. Now, I'm going to read this next section. I'm not going to read through all the words. I'm just going to talk about it. He titles the next section, Keep Your Purpose Ahead of You. Okay? And he mentions that it should always remain a few jumps ahead of you at all times so that you can actually look forward to something and hope and imagine, right? And now here comes the idea, right? What happens when you do achieve your goal, right? For me, I actually set a pretty high goal that I wanted to go through college and just get a mechanical engineering degree, just because, for me personally, it was the most badass degree that I thought was there at the time, and it was a real stretch goal for me because I didn't know how I was going to get it. And truthfully, I hit that goal, and then I graduated college, and I was left with, okay, now what's next, right? It felt good at first to graduate, but then, what is next? And so what did I do? I have to set a new goal, a new higher goal, so that I'm constantly moving forward, right? It's not worth me reflecting on the past of what I've achieved. It's worth me looking and hoping towards a better future, right? So that's what he means by keeping your purpose ahead of you. Now, I hope that makes sense. That the idea is, you will constantly be creating new goals, right? Let's say you hit your goal, then what do you do next? You want to create a new one that's going to stretch you even further so that this game of life actually does become a game, right? It's a game of hitting your goals. So, what's the point of it, right? What's the point of having a definite major purpose that's constantly ahead of you, right? Because you know if you have a definite major purpose that you can achieve in 1 year, and I'm talking about not just a goal that you can achieve in 1 year, but your definite major purpose, right? Then what are you going to do for the rest of your life after you achieved your definite major purpose, right? Are you just going to, there's the law of energy, right? Everything is either growing or dying, right? Are you going to continue to grow, or are you going to start backpedaling and dying? All right, so he titles the next section "The Hope of Future Achievement," and I'm not going to go too in depth with that. Okay, let's see. There's a couple things left in here. All right, we're going to talk about now the principle of autosuggestion. I fast forward a little bit because I really wanted to get to this principle because, in Think and Grow Rich, he mentioned that this was the keystone arch of the philosophy. So I want to hear what he says here. Now he says, let me go on to this rule, right? Hypnotize yourself through auto suggestion into believing you will get the object of your desire. Do you ever try to hypnotize yourself? Have you ever been hypnotized? And the answer is yes, you have. You're being hypnotized every day. I don't mean that you're being knocked out, but you're undergoing a degree of hypnotism all the time. You're responding to the law of suggestion, and that's a form of hypnotism. Let's use hypnotism not to charge our subconscious mind with negatives and fears and frustrations, but with the glorious things that we want to do in life. The things that we want, not the things we don't want. Take a successful man or a successful woman. Those people are able to so thoroughly hypnotize themselves that they can see achievement already finished before they even started. It's a marvelous thing to be able to do that. That's self hypnotism. I mean, it means to close your eyes to all the no can do part of the thing and focus your intention on the can do part. One of the strange things about nature is that if you keep your mind focused on the positive side of life, it becomes greater than the negative side. It always does that. If you keep your mind on the positive side, it becomes greater than all the negatives that may try to penetrate your mind and influence your life. Okay. Let's see what he meant by that, right? We're talking about hypnotism, which is, a fairly uh, odd word for most people that come across this. And, I'm not talking about, sitting you down, having you close your eyes and start quacking like a duck. No, we're talking about truly, right? You can use the principle of autosuggestion in many incredible ways. Most people actually use it in a negative way. They'll use the law of autosuggestion to literally think themselves to death. But what are we trying to do? We're trying to cultivate a positive mindset that is filled with the positive emotions so that we can only focus on or only see what we can do about our goal, right? What is possible rather than what's not possible about it. And you know, there's a lot of questions out there like how do you truly develop faith? Okay, this is something that I understood recently from reading Think and Grow Rich through my last time, right? I understood now that faith is developed, belief is developed through the principle of autosuggestion, constantly putting in the goal and really putting it into your subconscious mind. Now, how do you do that? It's got to be through repetition. So, truthfully, some of the things I'm learning now, I'm realizing that my ways of planning my goal into my mind were not the proper ways. So that I might have to save this for another conversation on how to properly plant your goal into your subconscious mind. But I know for a fact that the principle of auto suggestion is going to come to play here. And that's how you're going to develop that belief in yourself. Because truthfully, the one thing that we're simply lacking, even though if we know that what we got to do is the right thing, even though I know, intuitively that I got to quit my job and start my own company, because in the long run that will serve me much better than being an employee, right? It's that one thing that you got to develop, and that is true self confidence, right? It's that self doubt that's holding us back from doing what we truly want to do. So, these are conversations to still be had. But I'm going to wrap it up here because, don't want to go on too much of a tangent. So, thank you all for watching. Thank you very much because, this is talking about your definite major purpose, right? What is the reason that I'm actually here on this planet for? What is my true purpose in life? And what am I going to leave behind, before I pass away? So, some deep conversation, right? This is not just, casual talk, but yeah, I want to thank you guys for watching again. And until we meet again in time and space, bye everybody for now. Peace.